Murder.
Chalk outlines.
DNA tests.
Blood.
Anonymous tip.
Beheadings and disembowelments.
Fingerprints.
The yellow tape that they have on crime scenes.
Witness statements.
Stakeouts with my cop friend and we drink coffee. UV lights that they can see on 5 minutes.
Just thought of another one we could add to the intro. Neighbours heard strange noises.
Yeah, you quite often would hear that. Yeah,
it's always, the neighbour was hearing strange noises.
Or it's super quiet. Never would have, so unsuspecting. He wouldn't have got that.
Yeah.
They sort of kept to themselves.
True.
You know?
Yeah, true.
Did you want me to explain it?
Yeah.
This is where Belle explains a true crime pod in about 5 minutes.
Sometimes less.
Yeah,
Sometimes more.
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
About 5, yeah. We have to legally say that.
Have you guys ever heard of the Melbourne suburban murderer, Mr. Stinky?
I mean,
And it's not,
I feel like I
funny.
shouldn't laugh, but his name was Mr. Stinky? It sounds
Yeah.
like a character from a children's show.
He was dubbed Mr. Stinky by the local newspaper at the time, and he went around Melbourne breaking into people's houses at night and assaulting the people in there for like 20 years, like a very long time, all around like Wheelers Hill, Greensborough, Donvale, Edithvale, Clayton, and even up in Shepparton as well. So it all started back in the 1960s. Actually, in Shepparton, he murdered 2 people straight up, killed them, shot them. And he didn't get caught for that at all. Only until 1980s did he get caught for that. In that whole 2 decades, he was breaking into people's houses around Melbourne and stealing things, assaulting people and getting away with it. Now, because we're talking 1970s,
Wow.
1970s, 1980s, the only way, there wasn't any DNA, the only way that they caught him in the end was by matching his fingerprints. And you couldn't even do that on the computer back then. You had to like actually match up people's fingerprints. So the reason that he was called Mr. Stinky, the newspaper called him that while he was still on the run and doing all of this, because they said that the witnesses described him as having really, really bad body odor,
Gross.
which was believed to have been caused by a mixture of BO and sweat, milk, manure, and chemicals from his work as a sharecropping farmer on dairy properties. And he was coming in straight from work during the day,
Still in a shift,
not
yeah.
showering, and then getting into people's houses.
Yuck.
It's believed that he broke into over 30, even maybe over 100 houses. It's a very broad window. And he got away with this, like I said, for years and years, until finally this police officer, who's only actually new in the job, actually matched up the fingerprints and was like, hang on, this is the same guy. So they had all these fingerprints that were matching over the 20 years. And then old mate Mr. Stinky went up to Albury and got done for indecent exposure out of his car.
Which is a bit of a Mr. Stinky move.
It is. And they fingerprinted him for that and went, you're Mr. Stinky. He got arrested 1985.
Yeah.
He got put in prison, sentenced to life for the 2 murders back in Shepparton in the 60s. And then on top of that, like 10 years later, he got done for more assaults from back in the day, got another like 20 years put on, then got done for more that they matched on his fingerprints, got done for another 20 years. So this is all on top of a life sentence. And then only in 2019, a judge added another 23 years and 5 months to his lifetime prison sentence on top of all of that, because in September 2019, at the age of like late 70s, he finally admitted to like over 30 more assaults that he had done.
Oh, no.
Is he still alive?
He is 80 years old. He is still in prison in Victoria.
Wow.
Just done a quick Google. He looks like a Mr. Stinky.
Yes,
Yeah.
real name Raymond Edmunds,
Yeah.
which is a hell of a name. If you look him up, oh my gosh, if he came into your house at night, he looks horrendous. And he used to apparently come in with the old balaclava on with 2 eye holes cut. And then tie people up and rob them.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So it's like this, this man that was rampaging Melbourne.
I'd never heard of that.
I know, I hadn't either until like this week. And I listened to this podcast on him and it was titled Mr. Stinky. And I was like, well, that's weird. And then you listen to it. It's like, yeah, no, people, like victims were coming out after saying, oh, the one thing about him, he stinks.
He just stinks.
And imagine being known as Mr. Stinky. But apparently he's been sitting in prison for, 20, 30 years and he has reconsidered all of this time And he did come out just a few years ago and admit finally to...
Which is kind of rare as well, right? Because most people that commit sort of crimes like that, they sort of just, they don't really help people solve the cases, right? They're just sort of, that once they're, even if they're locked away, they're just like, whatever, they just take it to the grave.
You know what? I listened to another case recently, and I won't go into that one because it's horrendous. But this murderer, made a plea deal where he got less than life sentence. But the deal was that he would do 100 hours of interviewing with the FBI and explain all of his psychology to them so that
is
they
that
could
what
learn
that
off
show
him.
Mindhunter is about?
Oh, yeah, I started watching that one. Yeah.
What was the guy's name?
David Ray.
Never heard of him.
Oh, don't look it up.
Yeah, I won't.
It's murky territory, though, isn't it? You're letting someone who's obviously committed heinous crimes.
And we'll finish that thought next week.
Fun with
really?
me.
No.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He should have got a buzzer beater in, but he didn't. The clock has run out.
This guy, David Ray, who got the 100 hours of interviewing, he did like 3 hours and then said, I hate this, and then reversed on his plea deal.
Oh, seriously?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
All
right.
And that's it!
Like that podcast? There's heaps more to listen to if you just scroll back or download the Nova Player app.
Ben, Liam, and Belle.